All right, we've got a little job we looked at here yesterday afternoon and determined that the zoning board no longer can behave well. We are also going to replace both of her thermostats. She does not like them, and they're kind of a cheaper, problematic brand, so we're going to replace those and the zoning board. The other zoning board did not have a discharge air sensor, and as much as I disbelieve in zoning with single stage equipment, period, I certainly don't believe it's going to work without a DAT sensor. So we are going to add the discharge air temperature sensor, and let's go in. So now you can see why we want to replace them.
Last day of final exams at Greenville Tech.
All right, so there's the older style zoning board that just will not consistently operate correctly, so we're going to replace it. And she's got a Train XR80 furnace, so it's a decent furnace, and I certainly hope the dampers are good. They were operating when we jumped them out yesterday afternoon. Like I said, we determined that the board just won't consistently operate, so we're going to change that out and probably service the furnace a little bit, clean the flame sensor, a couple other things while we're in here, and change those thermostats and see if we can get her up and operating better. So let's get started. All right, so I turned off the switch there because somebody has taped that door switch, and it wasn't me, so this time you can't blame me. I do tape them quite a bit, as everybody has seen. The critics have pointed out how I should not leave them taped, but that's their opinion. So this is the older Honeywell, what does that say? Universal multi-zone? I thought it had a name to it, but so let's do away with it. All right. So another thing I discovered when I was here yesterday is this thing has run all of its years off the same transformer as the furnace, which really, obviously you can get away with it some because they've done it, but that's not the right thing to do. So we're going to add one. So what they did, this is the equipment, meaning the furnace. They just took a piece of 8-wire out of the furnace and used the black and blue to tie to the board and sort of rob, as per se, the 24 volts off the board. So, and what this board did is it lined the thermostat and the damper in the same little bank of terminals, which, you know, not bad. So these are just 2-wire dampers, and they're probably energized open and normally closed. So we're just going to remember, and they're in the same wire too. So we're just going to remember that this red and white is zone 2, and that this brown and orange was zone 1 as far as the dampers go. And there they are, easy enough. Then all we have to do is be sure to keep these wires separate so that we don't hook the wrong thermostat to the wrong zone. So I'm going to put zone 2 off to my right over here. And I'm going to put the wires from zone 1 off to my left. And it's going to be pretty hard to mix them up when you only got 2 zones. Okay. Quarters inch. Take it down and prepare to discard it. We're going to take the new Honeywell red link line and place it up there thusly. Something like that. And I'm going to use a little bit longer screw to put them up. Just thought that thing was kind of hanging loose there. It had that screw in it, so that's not so bad. But I'm going to go ahead and use a drywall screw that'll just put a little more threads into the wood. Not a big deal, but something I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to put one down here too. Oops. All right, I got that one hung a little bit lower. Look at the camera where you can see it. And these, I'm not real crazy about them, but they are easy to wire because they have these push pin deals. So as you can see, these zone 1 and zone 2 dampers will be separate from the thermostats, but they are easy enough to wire up. So let's just go ahead and hook the dampers up first. And as we could see, they are paired together, although we're going to need to kind of bend them and reverse them because zone 1 is up top and zone 2 is down here. And I'm going to cut these off. I tell you, those are sticking up a little too far in there for... Well, I mean, they're just stripped back a little too far for for my taste. I don't want any wire hanging out, any stripped wire hanging out. I'll try to neaten all that up a bit when we get through getting them all connected. Our zone 2 thermostat that we sat off to the right. We've got one of our guys does neater wiring than I do. He'll take his wires and cut them all to a different length to where when they come in from the top, they all look even and none of them have that extra bend. And not so sure I got quite that much patience. If it was necessary, I think I obviously would feel different, but all right. So let's get the equipment. That might be a little more wire than we need. Hopefully they gave us some little zip ties to secure those wires with. Nope. Gave us the books in 2 different languages. And that is all that's in the bag. Normally you have some little zip ties to go behind those little tabs right there and squeeze those wires down. It looks like this time we don't have those. How about that? All right. Let's add the transformer. All right. So here comes the wires from the zone board, and that's the float switch right there. So it's just breaking the red, which is fine. But they've got the black right here and an additional wire on the common is the blue. And that is the ones that feed the zone board. So we're gonna take that blue off of the common and leave the white there. And that white is from the outside unit. And then we're going to take this black off of the red. And leave the float switch red there. Okay, so this blue and this black right here are what we want to feed 24 volts to. Oops. These are what we want to feed 24 volts to from an additional transformer. I don't know why I started to say thermostat. So we have one here. Came with a board, but it looks a little big to me. I'm going to take it out and take a look at it. And I don't really like it, but I think it's, you know, it is a Honeywell recommended device. So I guess we can mount it somewhere right in here. We can, yep, that'll be, if we can find 2 screws. We just may drill a couple and mount it where we want. And they're designated red and common for whatever reason. So we'll mount that. It looks like it might be a multi-tap. So it has an orange, so I guess you could use orange and black and run it on a 220, you know, 230, whatever. Heat pump. And it's got a ground wire. So it's not a terrible device, it's just not what I really like. But let's get it mounted. Okay, so I had pulled their black out, which, like I said, they were robbing the common and hot for 24 from here, and I had pulled that out a little too much, so we got it back down in there and tightened. So back to the standard wiring. Now we need to add our DAT sensor, our discharge air temperature sensor. So I'm going to put that up there in the plenum about 4 inches away from the coil and run a wire down here, and we should be ready to go change the thermostats. All right, so when I started looking around to where I was going to put it, I noticed this hole right here. I did not drill that. So somebody either had one there or intended to put one there and didn't, but as we saw, the other board did not have the discharge air temperature sensor, so we're going to add this one So it's going to be a little easier. We're not going to have to drill a hole. And so let's get this in there and get it wired. All right, so we got the DAT sensor mounted in the hole they gave us. Stuck the sticker there just for the fun of it, since it was on the pack. And what I did was the same thing they had done. There was some extra wires in this. They ran 8-wire everywhere. So the same 8-wire that they had pulled, these 2 damper wires and those 2 damper wires over there had a lot of extra colors. So I took the blue and black out of it, which was the longest ones, peeled it back and ran it over here to the discharge air temperature sensor. And I'm going to go down here and follow this wire over here where it goes, which is just the damper wires, is all that is. And I'm going to pull this blue and black out of here and hook it right there to where it goes. Save me from running out to the truck to grab a piece of wire, and save me from having yet another piece hanging in here. All right, so there they are hooked up. I'm going to tighten all this up a bit, get the cover on it, and as soon as we tighten this up and get the cover on it, we'll go put the thermostats up and power this thing back up and see what we got. All right, so let's get this thing down. And we'll put up our new Honeywell T6. It looks like they've got the 2 reds jumped, which we should not have to do on the Honeywell. So they got this little black piece of jumper wire in there. If we're lucky, these screw holes will line up. We don't have to deal with anything on the wall here, but they look like they're a little bit wide. But we'll see. So there's a piece of wood back there anyway, so it's not going to be bad no matter what. Okay, so we'll take the back plate for the T6 and put it up there first. And this wire is tight in the wood, so make sure we're going to be able to use that little plate. You'll see, and I don't think it'll be too bad. But none of the screw holes are going to line up, and we can't really move very much here. I could dig open some of this wall if I really wanted to. Main thing I want to do is just make sure we cover the paint mark, and I don't think that's going to be a problem. At least I hope not. So let's take a look at that. If we mount it there, how much are we going to cover? It's going to be a little tight. So I'll try to go over against that sheetrock there as much as we can. Try to lean that way. I think we'll be okay. That's good. Sometimes you need 3 hands. The old eyeball level. A little bit off. Pretty good. All right. And we got this silly little thing. This is mainly what I don't like about the T6s is this thing. It's easy to get your wires in, but I just don't like it. Top in first, snap it on and poke your wires in and close the door. It's not crazy about it. But it is easy to wire, that's for sure. Even though we have common wires here at both of these thermostats, I am going to install batteries that come with it for backup. Just keeps them from losing their program, time and date and stuff whenever the power might go out or something. So we'll go to 2019, hit select. We'll go to December, hit select. We will confirm what the date is today. I think it's the 16th. Yep. So we'll go to 16, hit select. We do want the 12-hour format, and it is 1, select, 43, select and save. Now the other thing we have to do is to go through the setup. Now, I always look through it, even though for a gas heating setup, you know, standard heat cool is pretty much already set for it. But we're just going to go through it anyway to be sure. And 120 is set at 3, which is 3 is 5, 1, and 1 programmable. So we're going to select that. Then 125 is Fahrenheit is 0. We're going to select that. 200 is heating system type 1 is forced air. 205 is heating equipment type. Number 2 is high efficiency gas forced air. And we could change that to standard efficiency gas forced air since it's 80%, but that really doesn't matter. 220 cool stages is 1. 221 heat stages is 1. 300 manual changeover. I'm going to go with that. We're not in a restaurant. Some people like it in their residence, but we don't. 365 compressor cycle rate. We're going to leave that at 3. 370 heating cycle. We're going to leave it 3. 387. 5-minute compressor protection. I have no problem with that. Some people change that. 425 adaptive intelligence recovery. Yes. 430 minimum cool set point is 50. 431 maximum heating is 90. 435 keypad lockout is none. 702 number of air filters 0. We don't want any reminders on that. 1410 the clock format is 12. 1415 daylight savings time is on. 1420 no offset. So done, and it will save. That thermostat is ready to operate in the heat cool mode. Heat or cool mode. And we're leaving it off right now. So let's go put the other one up. So as I said, we're going to clean the flame sensor while we're here. And it is quite bad. Very dirty. So So let's clean that up. All right, there we go. That's much better. So let's put that in. Okay. I'm gonna go to heat. Gonna set this above what it is in here now, which is 66 according to that. And yep, I hear it bringing it on. So what I'm going to do to make sure each zone is correct. Yeah, so that top left red light is the heat light. And then that first red light on the right is zone, so that's zone 2. So I'm going to let the fan come on, and I'm going to go make sure it's blowing from the top vents and not the bottom vents, and then I'm going to add zone 1, the bottom thermostat, to the mix and make sure they come open. And at that point I'll be satisfied with it. Alright, after the flame burned a minute, I heard the blower come on. Oh, I can feel it from here. It's definitely working on zone 2. Now let's go add zone 1 to the mix and see that it comes on too. So these dampers should open for this one. There it comes. Yep, now it's getting strong. So we are good to go.